Our verdict, Savannah, here we go. Count 1, guilty. Count 2, guilty. Count 3, guilty. Count 4, guilty. Count 5, guilty. Count 6, guilty. Count 7, guilty. Count 8, guilty. Count 9, guilty. Count 10, guilty. Count 11, guilty. Count 12, guilty. Count 13, guilty. Count 14, guilty. Count 15, guilty. Count 16, guilty. Count 17, guilty. Count 18, guilty. Count 19, guilty. Count 20, guilty. Count 21, guilty. Count 22, guilty. Count 23, guilty. I'm pausing because it's coming in. Count 24, guilty. Count 25, guilty. Count 26, guilty. Count 27, guilty. Count 28, guilty. Count 29, guilty. Count 30, guilty. Count 31, guilty. Count 32, guilty. Count 33, guilty. Count 34, guilty. That is 34 felony counts here, all guilty verdicts.
I ain't scared of you motherfuckers.
You are listening to Conscious Fever, hosted by Carl Price.
Either way, I don't give a damn what you think you are entitled to.
Ladies and gentlemen, the moment you've been waiting for. So listen responsibly.
It's the best of the best. It's the one and only DJ Ice, Louisville's coldest DJ.
Hey, good evening. Welcome to Conscious Fever here on ICE Entertainment Television and Conscious Fever Radio. I am Carl Price, your host. I am happy to be here tonight. Hope y'all are happy to see me. I'm always doing something here. I'm going to do a little bit more right now because I can't say that I'm happy, but I am a little bit elated, to say the least. Anyway, welcome to Conscious Fever here on ICE Entertainment Television, Conscious Fever Radio. I am Carl Price, your host. We are back after about a month. I'm here tonight again with Paul Mullins, but we're not going to show you Paul yet. Listen, we have an interesting show tonight. We're only going to be talking about numbers tonight. And the numbers, and if you're a numbers person, the total is going to be 45 plus 34 is 79. So you want to remember the number 79. That's our show tonight, is 79. 45 guilty on 34 counts. Yes, you know we could not resist talking about it. We may talk a little bit about the golfer tonight. We may not, because the former president of the United States, Donald J. Trump, is now a convicted felon. And throughout the show, not one time, maybe not 2 times, maybe not 5 times, maybe about 10 or 20 times, I'm going to remind Paul Mullins, who's co-hosting tonight, that I told you so. I told you that this was going to happen. I told him, and I told all the buddies that we go to have lunch with, that's not going to get convicted. Anyway, he got convicted anyway. We're going to come back, and we are going to talk about this verdict. We're going to do everything that we can in our power. We're going to talk about it. We're going to make fun of it. We're going to maybe Paul's drinking a Coke. I may drink a Red Bull to it. We're going to do all of that. We're going to have libations tonight because he has been convicted. We're not going to gloat about it because it's not a big thing. I mean, it's a big thing to be convicted of a felony in this country. And, Donald Trump is 78, 79 years old. And that's a serious thing because that could be very stressful. And it could be stressful on a 79-year-old heart, 78, 79-year-old heart. And it could cause a heart attack. And I'm not going to comment on whether he should be in this life or not. All I'm going to say is that it's very stressful to be a convicted felon. I'm sure of that. Anyway, we're going to come right back. Paul and I are going to dive right into this topic that we have 45 guilty on 34 counts. The magic number is 79. We'll be right back.
You are listening to Conscious Fever, hosted by Carl Price. You are listening to Conscious Fever, hosted by Carl Price.
Oh, we're back. So I'm a little happy. But listen. We're going to talk about 45. The number tonight is 79, 45, guilty on 34 counts. And before I go any further, I'm going to say something that I was in church last night because it is the 78th anniversary of Oak Grove Missionary Baptist Church's founding. And I was in church. And as I was in church, I was running some of the cameras for the media ministry, and there was a song. It was a hymn night where we just sung old songs, some of the slave songs, some not so slave songs, but real good gospel music. And I just found myself up there as I was running the camera. I just kind of caught the Holy Spirit. I catch the Holy Spirit sometime, Paul, just FYI. And in the course of catching this Holy Spirit, I was singing this song to myself. It was Hold to God's Unchanging Hand. So anyway, it was a very, very spirit-filled. I'm not going to sing it tonight. Thank you. You say thank you. You say thank you, Paul? Thank you. Anyway, but it was high-filled and spirited. So if you're not doing anything and you've got some white garments that you want to wear and show out for church this Sunday, you should join us at 4033 Vermont Avenue. Deep in West Louisville for a fun-filled time on the 78th anniversary of Oak Grove Missionary Baptist Church, its anniversary, its existence, and its founding. But anyway, we're here to talk about 45 counts, 45 guilty on 34 counts. I guess my co-host tonight is Paul Mullins. How you doing, Mr. Mullins?
I'm fine.
You sure?
I'm fine.
Okay, I want to make sure.
I'm fine. I ain't hurt. I'm just,
I mean, are you disappointed?
Nah, I was just wrong. Carl, you gonna blast on me. I did not think he was gonna get convicted. I don't like Trump, but I didn't think I would have convicted him. So, that being said, I was wrong.
Now, you do know, Paul, well, you and I talked about this. You would not have convicted him because you really didn't follow the trial. I was following the trial, and I was convinced that they were going to convict him. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not going to represent that I was convinced that he would be convicted on all counts, but I was convinced, and I'm going to tell you why I was convinced, Paul. I've said this to you before. I'm going to say it now. As a former prosecutor, everybody in this country needs to understand, and this is all the pundits that said, "Oh, it's going to be tough to get a conviction. This is the weakest case." And for everybody who said that, I want to remind y'all something about prosecutors. As a former prosecutor, keep this in mind. With the exception of the O.J. Simpson case and maybe a few more here and there, I know Menendez up in New Jersey, he's a high-profile person, didn't get convicted. But generally, and I would say that the rate is probably 98, 99% plus. When prosecutors bring charges against a high-profile individual, the likelihood that that high-profile individual is going to be convicted is extremely high, with the exception of O.J. Simpson, because that was a bad case, and then the case against Menendez. But generally, do not underestimate. I don't care if it's Alvin Bragg. I don't care if it's Fonnie Willis. Do not underestimate prosecutors and their ability to get a conviction when charges are brought against high-profile people. Go back and look at the stats. the conviction rate is extremely high. I had the pleasure when I was a prosecutor, or the burden, I guess I should say, to the prosecutor congressman who brought a gun through the airport when I was a TSA prosecutor or TSA assigned attorney for firearms that are brought in the airport. And we got a conviction on that case. We do not, I don't say we, but as a former prosecutor, I would tell you prosecutors generally are very, very careful about bringing charges against high-profile individuals. So when that is done, please do not take it lightly. Please offer everybody who said that Alvin Bragg had a weak case and this was not going to happen and this was not going to happen and that was not going to happen. I need to remind you that prosecutors are seeing and hearing the same thing that you are seeing and hearing. And they don't take it lightly to bring cases against high-profile individuals for a number of reasons. But for one main reason, because they have the resources to fight it tooth and nail. And they do. And so if, as a prosecutor, if you're not on your P's and Q's, you haven't dotted all of your I's and crossed all your T's, you're going to slip up and they're going to get you. Having said that, I want y'all to keep in mind that these people generally are mindful that they are dealing with high-profile people with a lot at stake. So, Paul, I would tell you that's one of the reasons why, one of the main reasons why I thought to myself and said, there is absolutely no way that this case is as BS as you think.
I thought it was BS, and I told you why. I did not like Michael Cohen's testimony. I mean, he's been spouting off for, what, 3 or 4 years, since 2016, longer than that, about how he hated Trump, all the things that Trump did, and we all bought it. We all, believed it, and I still believe it, but I just think in a courtroom where you're watching him testify and you find out that he stole money from Trump and all these other things, he had an axe to grind, just in a regular courtroom without this high profile, without everybody knowing how do these jurors not know what Michael Cohen has said prior to what he said in the courtroom? Everybody knows he put out a book. He's told it all. So I just didn't think that after hearing all of how he used to talk about how bad Trump was, until we had the trial, I didn't know all the bad stuff he did. So who do you believe? So I thought that presented room for reasonable doubt. I was obviously wrong.
Obviously. Since you've already admitted that you're wrong, let's just go ahead and get this out of the way.
We don't count. Now. That's like fourth time you
right.
Keep going.
No. Let's just go ahead and get this out of the way. I
tried to bet you wouldn't take a bet.
Well, I don't bet on stuff like that because that's people's lives. I just know it, and I'm able to talk about it, and I can be so certain about it. So I told you so, right, Paul? I just want you to say that I told you so.
I'm happy not to lose my money.
Everybody listen to me. I sat at a lunch table.
He did.
With Paul, one lawyer,
three other lawyers,
three, four, sometimes 4 or 5 lawyers, 5 more lawyers. We're sitting at that table. The table holds 6 or 8. It could hold 8. Okay, 8 lawyers, including myself. I'm sitting there and I'm saying,
3 of them geniuses.
I'm sorry?
3 of them geniuses. I'm counting myself twice. Go ahead.
Well, maybe. I don't know how much genius they are. They got this wrong. But here's the thing. They asked. They said, well, Carl, what do you think? And I said, I think he's going to get convicted. I think he's going to get convicted. I think that he is going to get convicted and ultimately go to jail. And now on July the 11th, that's his sentencing date, he's likely to go to jail. There was a meme, Paul. I said meme. There was a meme out at one point a couple of weeks ago when they were talking about the debate. Yes. And when they were talking about the debate, they said, Biden and Trump are going to be debating. And there was a meme that came out where Biden is in a business suit and Trump was in an orange jumpsuit. That very well may come true. Because on July the 11th, he's got 34 counts. Let's break this down for the people, Paul. He's got 34 counts. Each felony count carries 4 years each.
Up to, right?
Up to 4 years each, right. So that's up to 168 years in prison. Now, we're just talking in theory. We're talking
I'm tired of saying it's not going to happen because I've been wrong, so I'm going to shut up.
Yeah. Please don't say that it's not going to happen because, he is in front of a judge who, by the way, has to do the right thing. Right. But at the end of the day, the judges are human. And when you talk about their spouses and talk about how crooked they are.
Talk about them constantly, even on the day after you got convicted. How stupid was that? The moment after he got convicted, he comes out and bashes the judge, and I'm just like, where's your lawyer to tell you to show some contriteness or concession? Because you're gonna have to go back in front of this guy, and he's gonna sentence you. And you're sitting there calling him corrupt. That's stupid. Beyond stupid. But what do I know? I lost the bet.
Right. Yeah, and you could lose another. But listen, here's the thing. He's facing up to, so everybody will know this, he's facing up to 168 years just in the New York case alone. And that's in addition to the $400-some-odd million judgment that is still gaining interest, by the way, at the rate of maybe a couple of million a day or something,
that's the weakest case, too, allegedly.
And then this criminal case, it was alleged to have been the weakest case. And I'm not going to sit here and say it is, in fact, the strongest case. It was not. It was not. I think there are other stronger cases, but I didn't think this case was that weak. He's facing up to 4 years on each of these felony counts for a total of 168 years. Now, the word on the street is that this judge is likely to run those counts all concurrent under New York law, and if he does that, then the maximum actually that Trump could face is 4 years in prison. But the question arose for us, and you all can join in on this question if you want. I don't see that our comments are coming through tonight, but the question arose, and you all may have asked this question out there. Although Trump can still run for president of the United States, on the state level, is he still eligible to even be on the ballot? Are there state laws that says that a convicted felon can't be on a political ballot, even though it's a federal office? That's a good question, Paul. I don't think we know the answer to that.
I think we know the answer. I think we know the answer when it comes to a House of Representatives, a senator, or a president, and that is the state cannot impinge on the right to have them be voted upon.
Well, that's the Colorado case, right?
Right.
Okay, so that's the most recent Colorado case. But this, I think, presents a more interesting question.
I don't think it does.
No, I think it does. I think it does because
I'm not going to sit here and challenge you again because I might lose again. But this is my. This is whatever. This is my. Tell the truth. This is the rationale. You cannot prevent a federal office from being on the ballot on the state level because the state only controls its local state government. It cannot control who's appointed or elected to the federal government, so they have to go on your ballot.
And you're referring to the most recent Colorado case where the Secretary of State in Colorado.
But that's
right. I mean, I just want to make sure I know where you are, because if that's your reasoning, some of the language in the case.
But it's not a matter of just that Colorado case. It's the Constitution says these are the requirements to run for these federal offices, and the state can't impinge upon that. If the state had a federal election for Social Security administrative representative in Kentucky, okay, I don't think a state could even stop a Social Security or some other government agency from an elected office in Kentucky. I just don't think Kentucky can stop it because it's a federal office and the state doesn't have jurisdiction to say who can be appointed or elected to a federal office.
I'm not saying that your opinion is not worth anything, but you did say I think. So I just want to point out that you thought he will not be convicted. But here's the thing,
what's our
Paul.
Tally up to, Mr. Producer?
I don't know. I got
6 or
20.
7.
I got 20.
Okay.
So how many?
Six. At least 6 times. So I said I'm wrong.
Yeah, I got 14 more before the end of this show, and it's only 9:26 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But listen, Paul. Let's just take this. First of all, let me just point out that conservatives generally say that this needs to be left to the states, right? We're advocating for states' rights. So how about advocating for states' rights on this? Because there are some states that says if you're a convicted felon, you cannot appear on a state ballot. And that was not the question that was addressed in the Colorado case. So the real question for the Trump campaign now that he's a convicted felon, well, he will be officially a convicted felon on July the 11th, right? The way the system works, right. You have to wait until the sentencing before it's final.
I just honestly, I have to disagree with a state saying let's say the state of Kentucky says, oh, well, we're not going to put Biden on the ballot for whatever reason, whether it's legitimate or not, or just whatever. States can't decide, and you don't want states deciding who they can put on or take off their ballot for a federal nationwide office because then you just get into if all the states could do that, you'd have the election decided before it was even held.
No, I understand that, Paul, but you do agree with
No, I
me that
don't.
this is
No.
different.
No,
Let
it's
me, can I
not.
finish?
Yeah.
Can I see? You didn't let me finish to talk about
Try.
the New York case.
Here we go. What number
Months
we
and
on?
months ago, when I was talking about that he would get convicted, and now
All right.
that's why you find yourself in this little
What number
hot
we on?
seat.
7, 8.
So here's the thing, Paul. This is a little bit different, isn't it, from the Colorado case? The Colorado case was sort of a quasi-trial. It really wasn't a judicial body deciding this. It was the Secretary of State. And what the Supreme Court dealt with was that issue. But I agree with you that on the point of state law, the Colorado case may control whether states now say, wait a minute, we have a problem. Like the state of Michigan may say, wait a minute, we have a problem. Convicted felons are not eligible to even be placed on a political ballot in this state. That becomes, hold on, let me finish. That becomes jurisdictional. So my question to you is, do you think the Colorado opinion trumps that?
Yes, and I think
no pun intended.
I think the rationale, if you going back to your example about what Michigan says a felon can't run for office, is because a felon may not be able to vote under Michigan law, or in Kentucky law, but that's not true all across the nation about convicted felons. Some convicted felons, don't lose their voting rights automatically.
Hold on, sidebar on voting rights. So we have a situation where, go ahead, you can say it. I'll let you say it.
No, I'm trying to.
I understand, but if you're not going to say it, I'm going to say it. We have a situation now where a convicted felon cannot vote for himself. Right. So you're not going to see this parade of him going down and leaving Mar-a-Lago, going to the voting polls to vote for himself. Right. And if he does, he's committed a felony that the Republicans have all passed laws in Florida that you can't do. But you're not going to see that because although a convicted felon, as we understand the law, can actually run for office, he cannot vote for himself. But go ahead, Paul.
Right, but I'm going back to my point. What I was saying is that in Michigan, they can control, just like Kentucky. In Kentucky, you cannot vote or hold office. You cannot hold office in Kentucky if you're a convicted felon. But he's not holding office in Kentucky. He'll be holding office as the President of the United States. That doesn't leave room for Kentucky to leave him off the ballot. Kentucky can only control what's in their jurisdiction. So if he's going to
disagree with you, Paul.
Carl,
I disagree.
I mean, what you're saying is that if you really go down the slippery slope and you forget that it's Trump because that's a person you wouldn't vote for. I wouldn't vote for Trump, but I'm looking down the road. I don't want someone to throw my candidate off the ballot in Alabama. You know what I'm saying? Because of some rule in Alabama when I'm voting for him nationally and prevent my national candidate from even winning. You don't want to fall down that slippery slope. It's a good rule.
Did you see that bright light when he bent over?
Bright light? Yeah. No, you're seeing aliens or something. I don't know.
No, I think you got spotted in your head, Paul. When you bent over and watched that, I think that spot in your head was revealed.
Is that what you're saying? Is that where we're going now?
No, we're not going there. I'm just saying.
We're gonna break this down from Trump to just playing the dozens. Because I can start.
No.
Get in on you.
No. We don't want to play
I can get in.
Paul, that was not intended.
It was intended.
It was not intended to play the dozens.
It came out of your mouth on purpose.
Paul, you dropped something.
I did.
And when you bent down, I saw a flash of light.
Okay, you didn't see no flash.
And I didn't know.
I ain't got no lights in my head. I ain't got no lights in my head.
I didn't know what it was until you came back up.
You know
and
what
I
the hell it
said, okay,
was.
that's
You know
a
what the
little
hell it
shiny.
was. That's all right.
That's what's right.
Okay.
But anyway, let's get back to what we were saying.
Get on them socks.
No, we're not getting. What's wrong with my socks?
Come on, let's go.
I'm gonna show everybody my socks. What's wrong with my socks? I can't get out the window. I might fall out the window if I show it. But anyway, let's just get back to what I was saying. I forget what I was saying. What were you saying?
You wasn't saying nothing. What I was telling you is that a convicted felon can only be whether a convicted felon can vote or hold office is controlled by the state offices. So you don't want someone saying we can't put a convicted felon who's running for a national office even on our ballot. Otherwise, if all the states, all 50 of them, just decided who's getting on the ballot and who ain't, you don't have to have an election. Follow the slippery slope. Don't just focus in on what's going on with Trump today.
Paul,
Follow
I think
the slippery slope.
Yeah, Paul,
it doesn't make sense.
In my opinion, I think that's another question.
No, it will require a constitutional amendment to say that
Paul,
person running for president.
Listen, I agree that Colorado couldn't do it, but I think this is a different question than what Colorado
You're still trying to kick somebody off the ballot.
No, they're not. I mean, but they're enforcing a different law.
How different is it if the net result is kicking somebody off the ballot?
And Paul, it's constitutional. Remember,
which part is constitutional that you can't hold a Kentucky office? Doesn't say nothing
Paul,
about.
listen to me. What I'm saying is that if a convicted felon cannot appear on the ballot in Kentucky,
that's not the way it reads. It says it cannot vote and hold office. It doesn't say they can't appear on the ballot.
No. Listen, and if the language is you can't hold office as a convicted felon, I agree because he's not trying to hold office in this state. We talked about that before we came on the air. Mm-hmm. But what I'm saying is that let me just summarize it and say this. I believe that this presents a different issue than what was in the Colorado case. Whether it ever makes it to the United States Supreme Court or the Kentucky Supreme Court, I don't know. But let's just get back to our friend that you claim. What number is this? 9. That you claim was
not gonna get it.
Are you just? I mean, and Paul, you were so adamant about it. You when I said that Paul, he's gonna get convicted, and you said, and this was months ago, y'all. This was a couple of months ago, and Paul just dismissed me
weeks ago when after
no.
I didn't say that until after Cohen testified.
Paul, before the trial started.
I didn't say that until after Cohen testified. Honey,
Paul, can I finish?
No. Sure, go ahead.
Before the trial started, you said to me, I got a good memory, man. I got a memory like an elephant.
Like a 60-year-old. Go ahead.
Yeah, but it's like a 60-year-old elephant. Yeah. And what you said was, you said, I don't even know why they're wasting time doing that. I don't know why he's doing that. That's just ridiculous.
I did think it was
I agree with Trump.
I agree.
This is a waste of time.
I did say that.
Before that's right when the trial started, I believe, right? Yeah. And I said, Paul, you know, the man is alleged to have broken the law, and I think the rule of law should be enforced.
But Carl,
he said, well, not with this case.
This is like convicting Al Capone of tax evasion. That's not the big charge you want to convict him on. That's nothing. This is below. If this were the only charge he was going after, I'd say, fine, I guess that's all we get. But you got bigger charges. This little one.
But this is in New York, Paul. This is not in Florida or on the federal level. This is in New York. And you, just like all the other pundits, thought that this was the worst thing that Alvin Bragg could have done.
I still think it's a weak charge.
Thought he was a George Soros person, and he was just going after Trump because he's a Democrat and Trump's a Republican, and he's the nominee. They said all of that, and you went along with them, and now you all have egg in your face.
I don't have egg in my face. I just think it's a weak. There's a lot of charges that people get charged of as a felony. For instance, if you change the license plate on your car and put some other car, okay, you get charged with a felony. But that's kind of weak. It's not a felony like I went out and punched somebody and broke their jaw. You know what I'm saying? It's a weak sauce felony. Period.
Hey, Paul,
and then I don't think he needs to be convicted of weak sauce felonies.
He's still here. Paul, listen, I think that if we had Donald Trump on our show tonight and we asked Donald Trump, is this serious to you? Because you're facing 168 years and you're 78, 79 years old and you're facing a minimum of 4 years. I mean, yeah, it's a minimum of 0, really, but it's 4 because he could be probated and you can go up to 4 years. But if I'm 78 years old, I'm not sure if I want to spend from 78 to 82 in a prison.
Put the man in jail for that.
And I don't think. Let me just make my point. My point in bringing this up was that I don't think Donald Trump or anybody thinks this is a weak situation now because he's facing up to 168 years in prison in Rikers Island.
Obviously, right now, you love saying it. Right now, it's obviously not weak sauce, but to me, it was the weakest of the cases, and it was just like. It's like convicting somebody of some, like I said, like changing the license plate, and it's like you go into a regular courtroom.
168 years. When you say it's so weak, I'm going to keep repeating. 168 years is his possible punishment.
All right.
And you call that weak. I don't think Donald Trump would consider that weak. He's not going to be around for another 168 years.
You got a point, but I'm saying of all the shit he has done. Since 2016,
but not in New York.
Before that,
but not in New York.
Of all the stuff he's done, this is like getting Al Capone on tax evasion. Who gives a fuck?
I think Alvin Bragg made this independent decision. He had nothing to do.
Great.
He did not confer with Jack Smith. He did it because it's his jurisdiction in Manhattan and in the state of New York.
Correct.
He has nothing to do with the Florida case, the D.C.
Right, I
case,
agree.
or the Georgia
But
case.
Elliot Ness made a name for himself when he convicted Al Capone of tax evasion.
So at the end of the day, you know, you got it wrong.
Of course. I ain't. How many is that? 12?
No, 14.
14. Okay. You got
But,
6
no,
more. and
Paul,
I'm
but you
walking.
didn't. I wouldn't say anything about it, but you were just so. Carl, you're crazy. I think that was one of the phrases you used. Like man, you crazy. That's not gonna happen. Then you said to me, "Oh man, you just don't like Trump." And I said, "No, I think Trump is all right. I just don't like him being president again." And you said that.
What do you think would have happened if? And I'd like to know the history. Maybe I'm wrong about the history, but I'd like to know what other people with similar charges to these, what happened to them? Did they get probated? Did they get amended down to misdemeanors?
Are they rich and white?
I don't know what they are. I'm just saying.
Well, that makes a difference.
I just want to know.
We just saw a golfer, rich and white, basically get charged with felony assault against a police officer.
Okay, so
Charges
let's
were
go back to
dismissed.
that one. I told you weren't going to get convicted on that one, and you had a different opinion.
No, I did not, Paul.
From day one, when
No.
that guy got charged, day one,
No.
I said they didn't have a case
No.
for assault third or assault second.
No,
I told you from day one. I didn't even see the video.
You must have been
And
talking to Obi. You weren't talking
come
to me.
on, man.
You were not talking to me.
See, now he forgets the
No.
lunch events. Okay,
No.
I'm going to bring my buddies on.
No,
I'm bringing my buddies on, the same ones.
You turn the recorder on next time. But here's the thing, Paul.
No
pictures.
Didn't happen.
I never. The only comment I made about the golfer situation is when WHAS TV came and interviewed me about the body-worn camera policy. That's the only time I made a comment about it. And the reason I only made a comment about it at that time is because they asked. But I never thought that he was guilty.
Thought he was guilty.
Paul, come on now.
You said they could convict him.
No,
We went through the whole
Paul,
charge
you're
of
saying two
assault.
different things. I said that I thought that if the evidence was consistent with what Detective Gillis was saying, that it met the elements of the statute.
And I said, even if it was true, what's written in this complaint, you still not gonna get assault second.
No,
we looked
and
at the statute.
I agree with you on that, Paul.
No,
Because you just try to get brownie points.
I'm not getting brownie points.
Because Paul, you and I agreed on serious physical injury. We agreed on serious physical injury that it appeared that the allegation was a little bit too much and it appeared that they had overdone it because we understood that assault 2 meant a serious injury, like a gush to the head, a broken leg,
that on day one,
or something like
when
that.
I saw the charges,
I never said
and
that.
we read the complaint, I said they'll never get a conviction, and you said
what I told you was.
I ain't gonna hijack your show. We talking about
you don't have to hijack my show. I'm gonna tell you what I told you was about the golfer case was that I thought Steve Romine was an excellent criminal defense attorney. I also said this to you. I also said he's getting upset.
He's lying.
I also said that I thought Detective Brian Gillis was an admirable police officer, and that I did not think that Brian Gillis was capable of making up allegations like this.
I said to you that
let me finish. And then we pointed out that Brian Gillis did not write those allegations in the citation. It was his sergeant or another officer wrote those. So those are another officer's words. What you said,
written on the citation, they cannot get a conviction.
No, I said that I thought it met the test for assault in the 3rd degree. Now you and I looked that up earlier before we came on the show. No, I wasn't wrong.
I keep telling you,
we don't really want to get into the details of that because it would hijack the show. But what I'm saying to you is that the golfer, as you recall, the golfer was charged with assault 2, based upon before this second poll video came out. Assault 2 was hard for a lot of people to comprehend and stomach, okay, and digest because we understand that assault 2 requires either broken leg, broken arm, or broken bone, or gush in the head, or something like that. Something that would result in serious physical injury or death. And we did not believe that was the case if all the officer suffered was a scrape from being drugged, as alleged, for some 20 yards. Now we later find out, we don't know it all, but according to Steve Romines, it didn't happen. So, I don't blame that on Brian Gillis. I blame that on the officer that wrote the citation. But at the end of the day, I know what I said. And let me just make one thing clear, because you're impugning my character as a criminal defense attorney, and I need to correct that. In all of my criminal cases that I defend, I don't make any judgment calls on anything until I see the video. Then we saw this second video, which you said that's Brian Gillis hitting the window, and so I don't know. But in any case, the case is dismissed. The golfer goes home. Again, he's rich and white. He gets out of jail before any of your clients come.
That's a point.
Well, because
that's a point. I heard
I'm going to tell you, I said that because one of my white colleagues quoted that to me and said, it's rich and white.
That's a point. I don't fault him for getting out of jail. I don't fault Romance or whoever helped him get out of jail. I don't fault any of that.
Who helped him get out of jail? It was a myriad of people.
I don't care. I don't.
Starting in the mayor's office.
I don't care how fast he got ROR.
Well, yes, you do.
Listen to me.
Because you have clients that don't get ROR that fast, Paul.
Listen to what I'm about to say. I don't care about how fast he got ROR. I care about how fast he got out of jail. That tells us that the jail system can work a lot faster. Okay. Because I've had plenty of clients who got ROR and the paperwork got to the jail within 2 hours. My point is that even if it gets to the jail within 2 hours, they sit there for 8, 10, and 12 more hours. That's my point. That's all I'm upset about. Plenty of my clients have had their ROR papers there quickly. It's the sitting once the jail gets in, the jail's like, well, we ain't got it. Yeah, you do. I got a fax here from the clerk who says she sent it to you an hour ago. Well, let me go look for it. Oh, we found it. Okay, well, he'll be out soon. 8 hours
you have
later.
a point. You have a point. Our clients don't get out that quick. And I totally agree. We would never disagree on that. Somebody pushed the buttons. Maybe it was the mayor calling the chief of corrections who's under his control. And maybe the chief of corrections said, we're going to push this guy through. And then you needed the clerk's office. Then you needed the judge. And all those came together in tandem at 6-something or 7-something in the morning.
Yeah, get his ass on the golf course
pretty
for
good,
crazy.
But at the end of the day, let's get back to number 45.
Okay.
Because you're disagreeing with me on the golfer situation. And I respect that. But I just want to remind you, you also disagree with me on whether Donald Trump would be convicted on 34 felony counts of falsifying business records. And you said that the basis of why you did not think that he would ever be convicted is because Michael Cohen can't be believed. But what you failed to realize was Michael Cohen was used as, and I like what the prosecutors did. Brilliantly, they brought Michael Cohen in, knowing that he was horrible. His credibility was shot. He's lied to Congress. He's gone to jail for perjury and all of that stuff and lying. But here's the catch. All they needed to do was to put Michael Cohen there as a live person to give the jury a live example of what really happened. And then they said, we don't want you necessarily to believe this man, but we're going to bring in evidence that corroborates everything he says. Believe that evidence. And that's how they got him.
Okay.
That's how they got him.
It
was really brilliant the way they did it. Bring this man that we know you're not going to believe. We know that you're going to have issues with him. And then what we're going to do is everything that you don't want to believe he said, we're going to back it up. We're going to corroborate it with the record or video or checks that are actually signed by Donald J. Trump. And that's what they did. And that was brilliant. And a lot of these
Trump's problem was he didn't
so-called legal experts couldn't see that. They couldn't see that.
I thought Trump's problem, if I can be hindsight's 2020, is he didn't put on a defense hardly at all. Like, you got to put something out there other than calling Michael Cohen a liar, which, of course it worked on me.
It's a good defense strategy sometimes.
He should have put on something on there saying,
Donald Trump's signature is a lie on this check. Right?
Yeah, some witness saying that this is a lie. Yeah. But you can't, And I think that Donald Trump should have probably taken a stand in his own defense, but he couldn't because he had too much baggage.
He's got too many cases. I mean, you wouldn't have advised him to take the stand, right? I mean, not only because he's got other charges pending, but mainly because he's a buffoon. He's going to get on there and say some things that are likely to incriminate himself.
The problem is this: you put him on the stand because everybody already knows everything that's going on with him. What do you got to lose? You know what I'm saying?
I mean, the man was just convicted in a New York court,
but everybody
highly publicized for fraud.
Right, and people know that. So why do you have to worry about putting him on the stand to be cross-examined with that when people already know it?
Because first of all, Donald Trump is dangerous on any criminal.
True. He might say
any criminal trial
say something
defending
stupid.
Himself.
Right.
He will say something that he thinks is appealing to his base, and it will get him into criminal trouble.
Right.
And I admire the lawyers that
kept him off the stand.
That convinced him to listen to them. I admire that they would even take on his case.
I don't think
because I understand he's a tough client.
Well, I don't think that, honestly, deep down inside, I don't think they had to do a lot of convincing to convince Trump not to take the stand. He likes to get out in front of the camera and say, I'm going to take the stand, I'm going to tell it all, and he'll tell all on the camera, but then when he has to sit in a chair where they can convict you if you lie on their oath, he's not going to do that, because that's all he does is lie.
But he said,
so he's smart enough not to. I don't think they had to do a lot of convincing.
But I do recall one time in his life, many times in his life, he said, anybody who takes the fifth is obviously hiding something or telling a lie.
Right. But he didn't take the fifth.
He did take the fifth.
He didn't take the stand, though. Are you talking about this case or a different case?
No, I'm talking about this case. You don't have to take the stand to take the fifth.
Oh, come on.
I think it's lawyer.
That is lawyer 101. If my client doesn't take the stand, that's his right. You can't infer anything from that.
Well, you can.
That's not taking the fifth.
No.
Taking the fifth is when you say, I won't speak on this.
But why can't the prosecutor compel him to testify when he says, I'm not going to take the stand?
Well, in a criminal case.
Tell me which amendment that is. Is that the Third Amendment? Second Amendment?
It's the fifth.
Okay.
But no, the prosecutor can't invoke, I want him to take the stand.
No, I understand that, Paul. But you're making it sound like that when a criminal defendant sits in.
That's not taking the fifth. Taking the fifth.
When the criminal defendant sits in his chair and the lawyers decide that he's not going to take the stand, the only reason the prosecutor cannot compel him to take the stand is the Fifth Amendment.
Okay, fine.
So, I mean, we're talking about semantics. What you're saying is that a witness, a criminal defendant, has to take the stand and say, I invoked my right under the Fifth Amendment. I invoked my right under the Fifth Amendment. Just like they do in a deposition.
Correct, because there's different ramifications in a civil case than in a criminal case. In a criminal case, if you take the stand and invoke the Fifth, there can be no
semantics.
There can be no implications. In a civil case, if you take the Fifth, there can be implications.
Yeah. So anyway, our friend Donald Trump. Is possibly going to jail in about 5 weeks, 6 weeks.
Yeah,
you give him about 6 weeks.
Right.
Would you? Well, he sold a $10 million jet, sold one of his private jets for $10 million, so he can't use that to leave the country.
Well, they should take his passport.
I mean, they should do all of that. I mean, now he's convicted. I don't even know why they didn't take
they didn't take his passport before he left the courtroom.
Even know why they didn't take his passport, because a lot of times they take your passport in federal court. They'll take your passport when you're indicted, when they post a bond.
Yeah.
And then you have a situation where he's convicted. Most people get taken into custody when you're convicted.
Even while you're waiting sentencing.
Or they should discuss bail.
Right.
And the prosecutor brought it up, and the judge is just no bail.
I don't know New York law.
It's kind of dangerous.
I don't know New York law, so I don't know what their standard of practice.
Well, let's talk about this, Paul, for the small amount of time we have left. We read an article earlier, saw the headline that if Donald Trump went to jail, that the Secret Service has to go with him too. Why are you laughing?
Andre, make room for my security, please.
Who's Andre?
His jail cellmate.
Oh. Is that the one with all the muscles and the ripped shirt?
Which one of y'all's taking his booty tonight? Because he's got to stand in for me and take the bullet for me.
Well, isn't that what the Secret Service is for?
I mean, don't they got to take the bullet for him too? And I mean something else, but you know what I mean.
You're using bullet as a term of art. But that's what Secret Service is.
Mr. Trump, we gonna get them bonds tonight. I got two security. You gotta go to them first.
One of y'all gotta take the bullet.
Yeah.
And maybe he'll switch Secret Service protection to a more attractive Secret Service
every night
person. What if he has a female Secret Service?
He can't. No. Not in prison.
No, I'm just saying, what if he has him now assigned to him? That's a fact. That's controlled by the federal government.
What Secret Service person is gonna be like? I guess, honey, I gotta go to jail because Trump's in jail. I gotta protect him in jail. No, it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen.
Okay.
I don't see him going to jail with Secret Service.
I don't. Well, I mean, I'm just telling you.
Don't you lose those rights though? Like no one. The reason why this is all new is because no one ever contemplated that a convicted felon or a criminal. We don't have to be convicted felons, but criminals would hold these offices.
Would be a former president, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting because that very Constitution said that slaves at the time were only 1/3, for purposes of voting, were only 1/3 citizens.
Right.
So it's kind of interesting. But
Three-fifths.
in terms of the Secret Service
Three-fifths.
going for, maybe he should just find.
It should be 3/5.
Maybe they should hire a Chippendale as his Secret Service person, so when he goes to jail, he can take him with him, and that's the one that would take all the bullets.
Deputize him.
Deputize. Anyway, y'all, Trump is going to jail.
You really think so? Is this another disagreement that you're gonna get me on when I say he's not going to jail?
Yeah, I think he's going to prison. Paul, I said that a few weeks ago. I said, listen, y'all, and I've said it on this show. People can go back and watch the previous episodes. Listen, I have said that he
Can count there.
is going to prison. Trump is going to prison. And I think the most important thing about today is this, is that there were people that were still on board with Trump. And I don't think they're on board with them anymore. And I'm not talking about the MAGA people.
I mean, we need about
I'm not
2
talking
weeks.
about those.
We need the polls
And
to come
so
out.
now we're really dealing with an election where we're dealing with the lesser of two evils. Because, I mean, I would vote for somebody else if it wasn't Trump against Joe Biden. I mean, I would just do that. I just think that.
What?
Yeah, I would. I mean,
What?
let me just say this: if there was someone else
on the Republican
other than
ticket?
Donald Trump, no, it depends. It depends.
You're
who it
falling
was.
into a trap. Let's
No,
not
I'm not
end the
falling
show.
into a trap.
Let's
No,
not
listen.
end the show on this. Let's not. What you just
No,
said.
listen,
what you
listen,
just-
listen. No.
what you just said
Don't
was-
try to put words in my mouth because
I'm
you,
not.
because
This is
often
what
you
you just said.
misunderstand
No, this
things.
ain't
Like
a
you misunderstood the
This is
trial,
roll the tape
and now
back.
he's got a conviction.
Roll the tape back.
And so no, you misunderstand a lot.
I don't misunderstand.
What I'm saying
I
is
will
this.
vote for anybody.
What I'm
if it
saying
wasn't-
is this.
if it wasn't
What
for
I'm
Trump.
saying is this. Listen, I'm with
vote
everybody. I'm
against
with
Biden.
a lot of other people. I think President Biden has done a monumental job while in office.
Okay.
I really do appreciate that. But one of the main reasons I'm voting for him is because of the lesser of two evils.
Okay, so Nikki Haley.
I think
You'd vote for Nikki Haley over
I don't know if
Biden?
I would vote for Nikki
That's
Haley.
what you just said.
Okay.
You literally just said.
Okay, well, let me correct it.
Okay, well, good.
Let me correct it. I won't. There are some that I'm definitely doing this. This is a definite statement of mine. Trump and Biden. Biden is the lesser of two evils. So that's why Biden is going to get my vote.
Why do you think Biden
my
is
vote.
evil? You're falling into the trap.
No. I just
You're
think that
falling
Biden. I
into
really
the
do
trap.
believe. Here's what I believe. And I'm going to tell you. You and I have had this discussion
Period.
before, Paul. Period. Here's the discussion that we've had. So let's not sugarcoat it. Don't be scared to talk about it.
I ain't scared.
I do not like the way he handled the Israel and Palestine situation.
Okay.
Period. And to me, he is an evil for that. But there
How
is
would you have
absolutely
had him-
no way that I could vote for somebody even remotely similar or associated with Donald Trump.
That is the problem with our politics today. You can name 1,000 reasons why you wouldn't vote for Trump. But the problem is that we have people, not on the Democratic side, but also on the Republican side, who basically find one issue that they love, and they will say, I hate this person because of this one issue. And they don't look at the global effect of picking a candidate. Like, you might hate the fact of what he did in Israel, but all the other shit that he did was good. You just discount it.
Listen, Paul, you can say it however you want, and the producer here, you just dropped something. The producer here can agree as well, but I'm going to tell you, I don't care how much good you do. When some of your decisions that you're making cause innocent women and children to be killed, okay? I'm not considering all that shit. That's a deal breaker for me.
Okay.
And
again,
I'm just going to make this very clear. I'm voting for Biden, but if it was somebody else that was much better than Donald Trump, I would give it serious consideration.
the problem is that what I'm saying is
Republican.
What I'm
It would be-
saying-
it doesn't matter. I don't
That's
like.
first. See, look, you said
I
something
don't-
so bad.
Okay,
It's the first
listen.
time you said
I
something.
don't like what. I mean, I'm just gonna say this, and I love all my Jewish colleagues, but I'm gonna say this. I don't like the decisions that Biden made in not calling for a ceasefire much sooner. I don't when it comes to Israel. I don't like the fact that when some people were saying maybe you need to pull the aid to Israel, you're funding this war. But in another breath, what you're saying is, we want humanitarian this and Israel. What Israel was doing, they were even bombing the aid trucks that the what is that campaign that feeds people all internationally? So listen, you can call it what you want. To me, it doesn't get any worse than that. Right. It doesn't get any worse than that. Killing innocent people, letting a man that says, listen, I'm just going to start this war to get revenge. And Paul, I understand that he feels like Hamas is a danger and they have to annihilate him.
Don't understand.
But it just seems to me,
all right, two things.
that you can't take all of these innocent people with you. It's hard for me to rationalize that. So I'll say it again. Biden's got my vote because his opponent is Donald Trump. But if his opponent wasn't Donald Trump, I would give some serious consideration to somebody else.
Nikki Haley.
No, I'm not saying. Why do you say Nikki Haley?
Because she was the other candidate.
She lost by a landslide.
But she was the other.
Talking about?
She was the other Republican candidate.
Paul, it doesn't matter who it was.
Okay,
Donald Trump. Listen. Donald Trump can go to prison, and they would have to bring somebody else in on the Republican
side. And
you
consider it.
I will consider it if they're not as extreme as these MAGA people. Is not considered. I think Biden has blood on his hand, but he has my vote.
Two quick responses. You said you didn't like Biden because he didn't call the ceasefire soon enough,
much sooner, and stop the supply of weapons to Israel.
You said you don't like how he handled giving aid to Israel. So number one, on the not calling the ceasefire soon enough, he doesn't control Israel. He can't tell Israel what to do. He can't. They're an independent country.
Paul, that has nothing to do with it.
Okay.
That has nothing to do with it.
He didn't call for the ceasefire.
Paul,
he didn't call for
Paul, if the bullet that I supply to you kills somebody, you can't say that I'm not helping that person make the decision on what to do. America is supplying funds and the weapons.
Carl, they still haven't given the hostages back. How many days has it been?
Paul, listen.
No, answer that question.
I don't care about how many days it's been.
So basically what you're saying is...
Look, Paul, I sympathize with those...
No, you don't.
Victims.
No, you don't.
I sympathize with... I understand that Hamas went into Israel because of Israel lackadaisical situation where they let their guards down.
You do not
and Hamas came in and took those hostages. I blame that mostly on Israel. But let me just say this. No.
You do not sympathize.
Let me just say, Paul,
No, you've said it. You do not sympathize. God. You do not sympathize when you don't acknowledge.
Why are you trying to change the subject since you said he was not going to be convicted and he got convicted?
You know how I feel about this subject, and you got me tipped off on it. You do not sympathize when you say that a terrorist organization can take hostages, and then they get mad because you're still bombing them or attacking them, and they ain't getting the hostages back. So what do?
Paul,
fuck it, keep the hostages?
Paul, Hamas is continuing to shoot rockets and missiles into Israel. So all of this shit that you're talking about, it is not stopping the threat, but it's killing innocent people. You still have the
hostages. You still have, it's been almost 100 days.
So Paul,
you still have the hostages.
So Paul,
and then you wonder why we still getting attacked. You give the hostages back.
We're not getting attacked.
You give the hostages back, and you're on higher ground to say, okay, please stop bombing.
Paul,
we gave you the fucking hostages back.
Paul, tell me why that justifies killing innocent women and children.
Because you haven't given the hostages. Imagine if on 9/11.
So it's revenge. It's revenge.
It's not revenge.
It is absolutely
revenge. It is not giving into terror. If you give into terror,
that's your narrative. But that's revenge.
No, if you give into terror and you let them take your hostages, and all they do is bomb, and you say, "We win. We still got the hostages." You go get more hostages.
Paul,
get more hostages.
All these intelligent people can't figure out how to get Hamas without killing women and children.
Oh, they can figure out how to get Hamas.
I understand that there are going to be some casualties, but to the tune, I think the last number was 16,000 or something like that. I may be wrong on the numbers.
How many got killed in Afghanistan? How many got killed in all these other countries that people went into? The first Gulf War. We killed a lot of Iraqis trying to get to Saddam.
Innocent people, innocent women and children should not be
they should not.
Targets.
I agree. I don't think they're not targets.
When they're trying, I know they're but they're being
targets.
killed.
They're being killed because they're in the way.
Now Israel is in Rafah, and and they're just killing people at will.
They're not killing people at will. They're trying to get Hamas. You give the hostages back.
In the course of trying to get Hamas, they're killing innocent women and children.
Give the hostages back. You're on higher ground. You remember last time we talked about Israel and the system shut down? Let's just move on. Remember last time we was talking about Israel and our whole system shut down. So we ain't gonna talk about Israel no more.
It ain't shut down right now.
Well,
I'm just saying that, listen, Biden is the lesser of two evils, and I'm voting for Biden.
You're following the propaganda, man.
No, I'm not following any propaganda. I don't believe all this shit that we hear about MAGA and all of that. I'm not into all of that. I don't believe all of that.
Well, you said
in fact, a lot of that stuff,
as if
you watch Fox News more than I do.
I do.
When we were watching the verdict, you wanted to watch Fox. I don't listen to all of that.
I want to see what the other side's saying.
I am old enough to have my own brain and make my own decisions. And in the course of making my own decisions with my own brain, and don't take another shot at me being old, because then we'll both stand up in front of our cameras sideways.
Okay, go ahead.
And you would have a bump in front of you,
is that right?
and I would have a flat
See what I'm
stomach.
saying? You see what he's doing?
At my age, I'm 10 years older than you. So anyway, no, I'm just saying. But you said, what did he say? Did he say something about my age?
You said something about your age. I was
No, you said something about my age.
At my age.
Try to say it under your breath, but there's a microphone right in your mouth.
Okay.
I mean, not in your mouth, but right at your jaw. So anyway, so all I'm saying, Paul, is this. Listen, man, I wish we had better candidates. I really do. But it's a no-brainer for me who I'm voting for. I just let you know that my rationale is that, it's the lesser of two evils. And I just believe that, quite candidly, every black person in this country have always voted for the lesser of two evils.
I just think that when you vote for a president, I just think when you vote for a president, you're not really voting for a president. You're voting for a faction. At the end of the day, you're not voting for one person. You're voting for a faction, a Democratic faction. Okay, that one person,
a cult.
Okay, yes, but you're voting for a faction. When I vote for president of the United States, I'm voting for a Democratic president. He's going to install Democratic personnel. He's going to have Democratic principles. He's going to have a Democratic agenda.
And he's not going to be a dictator on the first day.
Right.
That's what you're voting for.
Right.
And he's not going to get revenge on his opponents. That's what you're voting for. That's evil. And that's why we need to do what we need to do. But anyway, Paul, no, we're almost out of here. We do a commercial. We're not coming back. So anyway, let's just say this, Paul. Are we on the split screen? Okay. Can we just put Paul on the split screen?
19.
Okay.
That's what we at.
So I got one more?
Yes.
So, as we said earlier, watching the verdict, you, in your mind, you couldn't tell I was reading your mind, but I was reading your mind. You were waiting for one to be not guilty. And then when we got to 32, you pretty much threw the towel in at 32. And they convicted him. Like I said. So look, Paul,
so full of shit.
Listen, I can tell you, Paul. Producer can tell you.
You should have bet me.
If you go online, you can buy anything online, right? You can buy grape flavored shoes. You can buy strawberry shoes. You can buy banana shoes. Because you are eating shoe now. And I would say just don't eat the shoe that the Iranians threw at Bush when he was over there many years ago. Eat shoes with flavor. I can order you from a website a strawberry shoe so the taste will be okay. Because you're eating shoe now, and I know this is number 20, isn't it? You're eating shoe, and you're only eating shoe because he's not going to be convicted. They're not going to convict him, man. No, there's no way. He doesn't have the evidence. I don't even know why this prosecutor's doing this. But now Alvin Bragg becomes the third black person that has successfully gone after Trump. 38. So anyway, last words, Paul.
You won.
Oh, did I win?
That's it. That's all I gotta say. It never to be spoken of.
Well,
again.
Don't just say I won. Can you say in your own words, and producer, put the camera only on him,
Put the camera on.
that everybody, look into the camera and say everybody.
Everybody.
This motherfucker was right. Oh, I can't say. See, I know it still cuts off.
That's probably gonna get you. That's probably gonna get you.
It's probably gonna get me cut off. Yeah, but here's the thing, Paul. Can you just say,
that.
Carl, you were right. Carl, you were right. That's just 4 words, man. So we can end this show. 4 words. Hold on. Just all we want, Paul. Let me just. I'm just gonna set this
Pass your
up.
quota, Carl.
Huh?
20 was the limit.
What do you mean 20 was the limit?
What? It was the limit.
Well, hold on. Can we just let it be though? For real?
Let it be. Let it be.
Broken hearted people living in this world never be answered.
And Carl had the answer because he said he was going to get convicted. Let it be, Paul.
Guess I was wrong.
Let it be. Anyway. Let it be. Let it be. Let it be. Anyway, y'all. This has been Conscious Fever here on ICE Entertainment Television and Conscious Fever Radio. I am Carl Price, your host, who got it all right.
Rare
34
defeat.
counts.
Rare defeat from others.
I cannot enjoy this. So this is going to last through the weekend because Monday is when we all sit at the table at lunch. And I'm going to come in. I may just buy a MAGA hat and just put the word guilty over the top of that and just wear it.
Don't waste your money
in my suit. No, I'm not going to waste my money to do that. But what I will do is show up, chest out, and look at everybody at that table and say, I told you so. I told you so. I told you it's going to happen. Listen to me. I know. Prosecutors do not go after high-profile people with weak cases. It is a rarity. Anyway, Conscious Fever here on ICE Entertainment Television, Conscious Fever Radio. I am Carl Price, your host. Hopefully, we will see you next week. Good night.
You are listening to Conscious Fever, hosted by Carl Price on 97thebeatfm.com.
Follow me on Twitter at DJ Ice Louisville and on Instagram at DJ Ice_Louisville. For bookings, DJ Ice Price 1 at gmail.com.
I was born by the river in a little tent. Like the river I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know change gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. It's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die. 'Cause I don't know what's up there beyond the sky. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes, it is. Then I go to my brother. And I say, brother, help me please. But he wind up knocking back down on the knees. There've been times that I thought I couldn't last for long, but now I think I'm able, Father, to carry on. And it's been a long time I know change gonna come. Oh, yes it is, yes it is, yes it is. Said I know that a change is gonna come one day. I know a change gonna come. Yes it is. I know. Said life can be hard. Oh yeah. And times can get rough. But still